advertising director, and just allowing us to put this information together and come out and speak to you and share this knowledge. We appreciate it. And Jay Horton just stepped out. There he is, our online director, for supporting us in this endeavor as well. So before we jump into the information, I really like to start out by making sure that you each have an idea of who it is that you're listening to before you sit here and listen to us. So, like I said, I'm Renee Monholland. I recently got married. I am a runner, and I'm from Kansas and have a dog. You're going to hear from Paul Peterson. He recently took a trip to Germany. He has a family, 3 beautiful children, and he came to us from Disney, his prior life. And then you're going to hear from Chrissy McCullough. She is from Alabama, and she's a huge Auburn football fan. She has her dog, Tonka, and her husband of 6 years. So what you're going to hear from us today is really the power of the search engines. I'm going to walk you through some information that shows you really how powerful search engines are today in the online community. Paul Peterson is going to review some search engine optimization information with us. Chrissy's going to go into search engine marketing. You're going to hear a little bit about the power of the combination, how they work together. And the real goal is to make sure that you walk away with some ideas of what you can do right now, today, to improve your rankings in the search engines, to improve your exposure there, and then also some ideas of what you can do more long term. So first, we'd like to share a video with you.
Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem.
17 stories up in his fashionable North Beach apartment, Richard Halloran is calling a local number that will connect him with a computer in Columbus, Ohio. These editors are programming today's copy of the paper into that same Ohio computer. When the telephone connection between these 2 terminals is made, the newest form of electronic journalism lights up Mr. Halloran's television with just about everything the Examiner prints in its regular edition.
This is an experiment. We're trying to figure out what it's going to mean to us as editors and reporters and what it means to the home user.
Well, it takes over 2 hours to receive the entire text of the newspaper over the phone, and with an hourly use charge of $5, the new telepaper won't be much competition for the 20-cent street edition.
Engineers now predict the day will come when we get all our newspapers and magazines by home computer, but that's a few years off.
So the real purpose of us producing this video is to show on a more global scale what's happening with media, what's happening with the online landscape. And you know, we also want everybody to walk away with kind of a wow moment. Did anybody see a wow moment in the video? Anything that they hadn't heard before, anything that really made you go, and really think? I see a couple nods. So, you know, that's really the goal of it, is it's more, you know, the internet industry as a whole. And so what I want to do now is take a dive into search engines specifically, which is what you're all here for, and give you a little bit of information on what's going on there. So when we talk about search engines, who are the major players? We have Google, Yahoo, Bing, and they really make up the bulk of search activity that's done, and then the others come in behind it. Does that surprise anybody? Now, Google actually, just a year or two ago, was up in the 76% or something like that when we looked at it just a year ago. So other players like Bing, for instance, are figuring out how to get it done and how to play in the game. So the big picture with global search activity is to really give an impression of what's happening on those major search engines. Over 4 billion searches are done a day on search engines. 131 billion searches are done a month, and 1.5 trillion every single year. So globally, the search activity is through the roof, and obviously you all know that, which is why you're here and why you want to learn more about it. So let's take a look locally. Forgot about that one, Chrissy. Let's take a look locally about what's happening with search activity right here in our own backyard, what Knoxvillians are doing day in and day out with these search engines. Over 660,000 Knoxville residents are utilizing search engines. Is that a surprise? Over 420,000 are using search at least once a day. How many of us in this room use a search engine at least once per day? Good. Over 250,000, 4 or more times per day. How many in this room use a search engine 4 or more times every single day? That's still a good chunk. So the point of this is, what are they doing? What are they doing on these search engines, and are you there to be found? Who is there to be found? So when we look at the activity that's happening, the majority of consumer searches are looking for local information. 70% of searches done by a consumer are local searches. They want information about what's happening, what exists, what specials are out there right in their own backyard. However, 90% of dollars spent with search engines are from national advertisers. So for instance, I can go on a search engine and I can look for gardening. Well, because 90% of those dollars spent are from national advertisers, I'm probably going to find Home Depot, Lowe's, when 70% of the time I really want to find Mayo Garden Center, things like that. So when you think about this, there's a lot of opportunity to be there and help change that ratio a little bit. So when we're using search engines, it's important to understand what the consumers are there for so that you can understand what they want to receive. So I'm sure many of you in this room have utilized direct mail, have utilized television and radio and the yellow pages. They're all wonderful forms of advertising. But when we look at why is the consumer there, we need to think about, are they in a passive state or an active state? And when they're doing internet search, they are actively looking for a local business. They're actively looking for that information. And some of these other tools are when they're passive. So you're going to put that information in front of them and hope that you can trigger something and hope that you can create that awareness, which is still important. But with internet search, you're really reaching them when they're actively seeking information, and it's highly targeted. And here in a few moments, you'll hear more from Paul and Chrissy about how that targeting piece of it all works. So this is really a representation of the online landscape. And all of these pieces feed into the world of search and make search engines what they are today. Now, let me ask you, what kind of business do you run?
Me? I own a mattress company and retail store.
Okay, perfect. So if I were to walk in, would you expect me walking in to know the ins and outs of the mattress business and to understand the intricacies of it. Exactly. And we do not expect anybody in this room to look at this and understand it. And so that's what we do. That's what professionals in this industry, we're able to sort through this noise for you so that you don't have to. And so what we're going to do today is dive into two very specific pieces of it to help break through some of that noise. We're going to talk about the two pieces of search engine marketing, which is your sponsored links, highlighted area and off to the right, where 40% of search engine click activity occurs. And we're going to talk about search engine optimization, which is our organic listings, where 60% of search activity occurs. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Paul and let him jump in and talk to you in some more detail about search engine optimization.
Thank you. It says on the screen, I'm Paul Peterson. I am not a professional speaker. I am a computer nerd, pretty much. Explains the genes. So I'm still going to try to get you the information that I have, give it to you the best that I'm able to do. I'm just going to use way more words than necessary to actually communicate that. So we went through some of the stats. One of the things I just want us to think about is why search even matters. Why would we even why should we worry about this for our business? Why with all the types of marketing out there, you saw the slide, you've got Facebook and other things and all the traditional stuff, banners and billboards, and why do we care about search? I just want to show a little bit of search behavior. This is how, when I open my browser, this is what I see. This is an iGoogle page. Anybody have an iGoogle page? Right, a few of you. It's basically a way to customize your entry to the web, right? So I've got my search bar there. I've got news or whatever I want to have on there. How many of you guys have a Yahoo page or something similar to this? Yahoo is actually the #1 site start page in the world. It may not be my Yahoo page. It might be Yahoo Finance or Yahoo News or whatever, but Yahoo, more people have Yahoo when they open their browser than any other page in the world. And there's MSN. So what all these three have in common is they all provide you easy access to search. And so search is just a chunk of what we just expect to start our day with. We get on the internet and you just expect search to be part of it. When somebody gets on the internet, this is the basic data of what happens. Okay, let me back that up. So what you're seeing here is anytime you get on the internet, on average, 76% of the time, you're going to do some sort of search. So you might get on there to check your email and get off, or you might get on there to do whatever. But 76% of the time, the world is actually searching for something. So when they're searching for something, let's say they're searching for your business. You have a mattress business, right? So somebody gets on and they say, okay, mattresses in Knoxville, or mattress resellers, or mattress store, all kinds of things somebody could be searching. If your listing comes up on the first page, 100% of the people are going to see that page. Now, if you're on the second page, this quickly drops down to 20%, right? So 1 out of 5 people will not even make it past the first page to even scan through and possibly see your listing. And then when you're down to the third page, well, you've got, I think that's 5%. So it just keeps getting lower and lower. So the difference between here and here gets to be very huge, right? You have 100 searches and you have 100 people that could actually see, your website and click and go to it. If you're on the third page, well, out of 100, you have maybe 5 people who actually have the chance. So, and as they look at the page, they still might not even, click on it. So that's why we want to look at, spend a little time thinking about how can we take our websites and get them to rank higher. This is a quote from Google. I just want you to take a second and read it. Okay. Anybody not hear me? This is, just take a second to read. I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is from Google. It says, we use more than 200 signals to determine which pages are most important. We then conduct hypertext matching analysis to determine which pages are relevant to the specific search query being conducted. By combining overall importance and query-specific relevance, we're able to put the most relevant and reliable results first. This is Google's statement of how they determine where your website shows up whenever somebody does a search. What they're saying right there with the 200 signals is basically we look at over 200 things to determine where that is. So I can go through this and I can say, okay, here's what we've got going on. This is what you need to do to fix your, this is all the things that they look at, right? We can go through there and, oh, here we go. And yeah, you guys all know what to do now? All right? Perfect. So with everything, there's an 80-20 rule, right? You guys have heard that 100 times. 80 or 20% of the realtors sell 80% of the real estate out there. 20% of your time and energy results in 80% of the success that you have in your business. There's also an 80-20 rule in search. There's no way I could possibly go through there and say, okay, here's, out of 500 things, here's 5 things that you can do, and then, you know, you're on your own for the other 495 things. Good luck with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the 80-20 rule. And these are the two things that I'm going to talk about, and they're going to be the most important things. If you just work on it, you could pretty much go through there without a lot of SEO knowledge, but work on the 2 things that are basically in red right there, and you're going to be able to get most of the way up there, or you're going to be able to make huge progress. So, as we saw right there, first one is importance, and the second one is relevance, right? How important is your page? How relevant is it? So the most important thing is your page even worth listing? That's what Google means by importance. Should we even include it in our index? If somebody, you know, we find your website, is it even worth like having there? So what we want to talk about is what makes your page valuable. Why would somebody care about your page, or why would Google want to list it? I've got the search here, but I'm not going to get to that first. What I want to talk about is how, okay, I just lost it. What was I talking about? All right, I'm just going to go right into schools in Knoxville. And then I'll get back to that, whatever that was. So, all right, you do schools in Knoxville. What type of results would you like to see? We've got 2 right here. So on the left side, you have greatschools.net. It's providing all kinds of basic information. You've got a map there. You know, let's say you're moving in from another state. You don't know anything about the area. If you have kids, you're probably going to look at schools first. I know that's what I did when I moved here. Where are the best schools, and then pick a neighborhood based on that. So you got a map, shows you all the great schools. You've got preschool, elementary, middle school, high school. You can sort that way. And then you have this side over here on the right side, which is just basically a list of schools. So which one for you is the better experience? One on the left, great schools, right? Because basically you get there and it has basically everything you need. There's not really, and if you don't see it, you can go right to it. I mean, if you were looking to find a school in Knoxville, would you want ratings? Would you want to be able to easily find which ones are the top rated schools in there? If your kid was in middle school, would you want to be able to easily be able to drill down into like the middle schools and get ratings on that and see reviews and all that stuff? Right. Of course you would, but you wouldn't want just a list and have to go through and say, okay, I'm going to click on that one, click on the next one, click on the next one, right? So the more valuable your page is, the more Google is likely to rank it higher. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. If you've studied SEO, you know things about like, or you've heard things like if people are linking to you, that helps your website rank higher, different things like that. Well, user experience, providing a great experience is one thing that gets you those links, and there's a lot of other things that happen whenever you're providing a good experience. So just the fact of providing a good experience will help you boost up into the rankings. If you take a look at greatschools.net and just look at their rankings right there, these are just 3 different searches I pulled, right? Schools in Atlanta, schools in Nashville, schools in Tampa. You do almost any schools in pick your city, and they're almost always in the top 5 of the results. If you look at their page, they're doing other things in terms of relevance, which is what we'll talk about next. But the great experience is what's getting them as high as it is. They're linked to from all over the web. School boards, different places, they did such a great job putting together a resource that Yahoo's linking to them. They have all sorts of different ways to get information. So the experience has got them up there. I'm sorry, yeah, the user experience. You know, and keep in mind, user experience is not about, there's an update, excellent. User experience is not about having a pretty website. User experience is about thinking about what the question somebody's asking and answering that, right? So we talked about the schools, right? If you're looking for schools, you're looking for reviews, right? You're looking for ratings. You're looking for these things. These are the kind of questions that you have in your head when you're doing a search. And so the fact that you, with your business, if you can answer those, if you can get into the mind of like a customer, what would they be looking for? How can I answer those questions? How can I provide a better resource than anybody else is on that topic, right? I mean, you have a mattress business. I'm sure there's varieties of mattress. Why is one better than the other, right? These are the kinds of things people are researching. You know, they might be researching why I wake up and not feel rested, right? So there's an opportunity to, like, you know, have exposure. But it's those sort of things. Get into the mind of somebody who might be searching for something around your business, and how do you change that, or how do you address that on your website? How relevant is your page? So if somebody searches for, if you do a search for free kittens, would you expect to see listings for, I don't know, Honda Pilots for sale, or you know the latest, you know, turkey flock that roamed into town and got into traffic, right? No, you just want to find your free kittens. And so Google is really looking to determine, you know, I keep saying Google because Google's just the big player, but we're talking about all the search engines here. They are, they're looking to answer your question. Just like you need to provide a user experience, as I talked to you about, Google is trying to provide the best user experience for you. Their page is basically a search box and then results. So with that, how can they provide you a good user experience? The best way they can provide a good user experience is giving you the best results, the most relevant results, basically answering the questions that you're asking. And so relevance is a huge importance to Google. So that's one of the ways that they're going to keep you coming back, because if you get the relevant result, you're going to come back and use Google versus using Yahoo or MSN. Whoever's providing you the most relevant result is what you'll end up doing. And so when we look at our page and we start thinking about what would somebody be looking for in relation to my business, I have a mattress store, or I'm a realtor, or I own a car dealership, I print signs. Just in your mind, if somebody was going to go on there and start looking, what would they be searching for? So, and then what we want to do is we want to address it on your site. So let's talk about what makes a page relevant. This one is Zoom Whitening Knoxville. This is just something I pulled off. If you're a dentist, the most obvious thing is you would think people are looking for dentists in Knoxville, or Knoxville dentists, or something along those lines. But there's a whole broad range of services, and you guys need to think about that with your business too. What services do you offer? Zoom whitening is a service that somebody might be searching for. So this is a page from a local website, and if you were searching for Zoom whitening and you got to this page, you would see, okay, here's the dentist, and we have, a little touch, and you could probably go across the navigation and get down and find information just by reading through it and spending a lot of time going through the site and trying to find it. But if you got to this page, which is at least about cosmetic dentistry, wouldn't you feel like it was easier to find what you were looking for? If you from going, instead of just getting the home page, you're getting cosmetic dentistry. At least cosmetic dentistry, you're a little bit closer, step closer to Zoom whitening. Now, if you have an actual Zoom whitening page, then voila, you typed in your search and you're now right on the Zoom whitening page. So by Google, for Google to send you here, they're giving you a lot better experience than if they sent you here, and a way better experience than if they sent you here, because you went to Google, you asked a question, and they gave you an answer to your question. And that's what they want to do every single time you do a search. So when you start thinking about your website and you start thinking about, okay, what services do I offer? What are people searching? Those types of things. You want to have a page that addresses each of those. If you do Zoom whitening, you want a page about Zoom whitening. If you're a mattress store owner and you carry Serta, you want to have a page about Serta. You know, this is all, you know, Serta mattresses, this is Posturepedic, this is, you know, whatever. Basic information, so if somebody's looking for something specific, there's a specific page for Google to send you to. And so they want to do that, and so so by helping them have a page to send those visitors to, you're basically helping your own rankings. And I'll just take a look right here. This is a result I did. Zoom Whitening Knoxville, I did this search. This guy came up, and he's in Rogersville. He's not even in Knoxville. But because he did such a great job, because he was a dentist with one of the only resources out there, he's up here. Everybody above him is just basically, I mean, dentalresource.com. It's not even real dentists. It's just like directories to find dentists. So by creating a targeted page, he used the words in here, you know, local to Knoxville or something like that, or near Knoxville, that sort of stuff. He was able to show up higher than any other Knoxville dentist for Zoom Whitening. And so we want to do that with all of our stuff. So, right, you want to look at the service we provide, think about the basic things that somebody might be searching, like dentists in Knoxville. We want to think about the areas we service, because we don't service everywhere, right? I mean, some of you have businesses where you service everywhere. You might sell something online. But most likely, if you own a mattress store, somebody's going to come into the store to buy a mattress, and they're going to want to look at it. And so you really, if your store's in Knoxville, you really want to target Knoxville. You really want to think about, okay, making sure on your website you're saying that we're in Knoxville. You want to, you know, put that on your pages and include that as well. And I have this in here again, just as a reminder that you know, you want to really work on this. You want to be on that first page. But even if you're going from the third page to the second page, that's a big improvement, right? You just went from 5% to 20%. So there's a step forward. Getting the first page is, you know, is going to get you exposure to 100% of the searches that are related to you. And why is this not moving? So I'm just going to wrap up really quick. I just want to give you quick 5 ways to boost your rankings. I gave you this 80-20. You know, like I said, I can't give you 5 things and then say good luck with the other 495 or whatever's out there. But if you just follow those 2 things, relevance and you know, user experience, you'll be able to go a long way and move your business up in the rankings pretty high. Number 1, you need to know what search words are valuable for your business. So I talked about this a little bit. Just you need to get into your customer's head. What would they be searching for? If I was going to sell, you know, if I was going online, if I was not in this business and I was going online and I needed to find something related to this business, one of my products or one of my services, what would I search for? So you got to know that. You got to think about that. You got to make a list. And once you have a list, do a little research to see what's out there. You can go to Google and type in Google Keyword Tool, and the first listing will be a little tool. You can type in all the words you came up with your list, and it'll show you like how many people are searching for those. Okay, we have, you know, 1 million people a month are searching for this or that. You can easily use that tool to like look at that, and it also gives you different variations that you may not have thought of. So you may have thought of like Zoom Whitening in Knoxville, but you may have not thought of another variation of Zoom Whitening, or, you know, it might say teeth whitening, which wasn't on your list. But it'll give you suggestions, and it'll also let you know how many people search for those. And that will help you be able to, I don't know, basically prioritize how you're going to go through this. Ensure that your pages cover a single focus topic. And I really wrote that sentence backwards. It really should say something more like, make sure every you know, unique topic that you're covering has its own web page. So Zoom Whitening should have its own web page. Like if you're a mattress dealer, you know, Serta should have its own own page, or Posturepedic, or if there's other types of variations in there that would be interested to a consumer, somebody who's searching, that should have its own page, so that you can have this really focused topic that's just a great place for Google to send somebody to. You have titles on your page, right? Somebody goes to the page. We saw the one that said Zoom Whitening. Just make sure that's very descriptive. Whatever your page, whatever the focus of your page is, that should be the title of your page. Same thing goes for, I'm going to skip down to 5. Same thing goes for, you know, you want to have those words in your page. It's not rocket science. I'm telling you, it's just, you know what, if somebody's searching for a word, you got to have those words on the page, or otherwise Google doesn't know that's what your page is about. And then make sure there's static text on your page. That's just a warning because of the a lot of people have a tendency to want flash-based sites, right? So you just go and everything's moving and spinning, and you think it's awesome, and you know, everybody's going to think you're successful because everything's spinning around. But that's not necessarily the case. And what we find out is with the search engines, that actually hurts you. You need to actually have text on a page that a search engine can read. So if your page is all built in Flash, you're going to have an issue with that. Do we do questions after? Or should I see if there's any questions now?
Yeah, we can check in questions.
Any questions? Yes.
If you use the word mattress on your page 100 times, will that yield more
No.
than like 4 times?
No, it actually could get you penalized. So what Google is looking for, and Yahoo and MSN, they're looking for like very natural looking text. So you want to use that word as much as you can, but you want to use it as much as you can in a way that still looks natural to anybody who is reading it. So just try to get it in there. There's a lot of different ways to squeeze stuff in and word it right, or do those types of things, but really just the rule is if somebody can read it and it just sounds like you're just really going overboard on using these words, then you're going to be going overboard to the search engines, because I mean, you have to have those words on the page, but you don't have to have a ton of those words on the page. So you had a question?
What about PHP generated pages versus HTML?
PHP is perfectly fine, because basically PHP takes whatever's going on behind the scenes and translates it into an HTML page. So what Google sees is basically exactly the same as an HTML page. Now, where you have a problem sometimes is when you have your URL is whatever.php, and then you'll see like a question mark, and then all these different variables. You can run into problems with that because sometimes when those happen, you end up basically, as those variables move around, you end up with what Google sees as like several copies of the same page, and that could basically water down your rankings, because instead of having one really focused page, you have like 5 pages about the same thing. So which one does Google go with? But that's basically the only issue. That's a URL issue, and not like a PHP. So whether you're using PHP or ASP or Cold Fusion or whatever, you're basically rendering an HTML page. So Google's going to be able to read that just like a straight HTML page. Yes.
Do those search words change?
They do change, but they don't change very much and very often. So let's say that one of your mattress manufacturers comes out with a new product. There'll be some new verbiage and stuff around that, and there'll be some marketing that they're doing around that. So because of the marketing that's going out, on television and radio, and they're hearing it, they're going to be going online and searching for that. So that's when things change. But people are always going to be searching for mattresses in Knoxville or something, these basic types of searches. Now, in the news business that I'm in, my full-time day job is actually getting traffic to our news stories, and to, we have autos we have autos, and we still have classifieds. We have selling autos and real estate. You can see the little tabs on there. So that's basically my job. So with news, it's very difficult for me because that changes every day, right? There's always people looking for news in Knoxville, but one day somebody's searching for, oil rig, disaster, and the next day they're not searching for that anymore. They're searching for oil rig cleanup. And the day before, though even that happened, nobody was searching for it at all. So, but relatively speaking, it doesn't really change too often. Once you get it, the lists, you're pretty good. You just have to keep an eye on the marketing your manufacturers are doing.
How do you, is there a way to get, say, quality inquiries? I've noticed that we get, on the average, about 3 inquiries a day for custom mattresses. Yep. But the quality of the inquiry is only probably around 10% closing ratio. And most of them don't even respond back at all, even if you do contact them immediately, which we try to do.
So basically they submit a form and then they're surprised to have something custom built is not cheap.
Well, no, we don't even tell them that until.
Oh, okay.
It's it's an opportunity for a sale, but at the same time, I guess I guess it's sort of hard to say who you're dealing with. I mean, I would follow you to the ends of the earth if you could just tell me what to do.
Right.
That would almost, you know, guarantee that if you'll spend this, you'll get this back.
Yeah.
Which I know is very difficult in advertising because I've done a lot of it over the years. But is there any quality? I guess what I'm trying to say, how do you know what the quality of the inquiries are, regardless of whether you're selling boats or newspapers or mattresses?
Yeah, and that's hard to do. What Chrissy's going to talk about in a minute is the paid side of this when you're paying for an ad. And there's certain things you can do
we do that.
In that regard. You do that, okay.
Pay-per-click, you know, and you have to be careful with that as well because you don't have, let's say you're spending $10,000 a month on pay-per-click and getting $10,000 worth of business. Well, woohoo.
Yeah.
You're just, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, in regard to pay-per-click, there's a way that you, I mean, with that, you have more control over it. So if you're paying for ads and you're basically bidding on mattresses in Knoxville, people could be typing in cheap mattresses in Knoxville or, you know, just stuff that really does not, I mean.
All of our customers are generally out of the state.
Yeah. Oh, they are?
Yes.
Do you normally?
Very seldom get anything local.
So you do it all, sell on the website and you ship it?
We ship them all over everywhere. We got one from Alaska the other day.
Okay, wow.
That wasn't a hard sell though, because there's not a lot of mattress stores in Alaska.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Well, the only way to really do that is to have some kind of analytics on your website. So some kind of analytics on your website. So Google has a free one called Google Analytics. There's different programs out there. And so once the traffic starts coming in, you can see what they're searching. And so that gives you a little more insight into, and you can see who's converting and who's not. So they came with this keyword and they're converting, and they came through these keywords and they're not converting. Well, let's make sure, and when we're managing our paid ads, that we're eliminating these ones that aren't converting, and we're putting our money into the ones that are converting. That's what Chrissy will be talking about. That's what her team does. Is they sit there and they analyze that stuff and they review it and they make the kinds of changes and adjustments. And that's really the only way to do that. All right, one more question, and then you guys can ask me all you want afterwards. I'll take yours.
On number 3,
yes.
We're talking about page titles. Is that your HTML title tag or the actual title that appears on the page?
That is the actual title that appears on the page, but you should do that with the HTML title tag as well. HTML title tag, so the page title, you just want to be short and sweet. This is what the page is about, period, right? The HTML title tag, that gives you a little more flexibility because you can get some more words in there, and you could, maybe tweak it a little bit. So you might say, zoom whitening in Knoxville, but you might have some other words that you're thinking of around zoom whitening that people are trying to think of that you can, kind of get into the title tag, and the meta description as well. So if you guys, any of you guys, if you know what it is, I'm going to address it very briefly, but if you don't, come ask me afterwards and I'll explain it to you. But there's a meta title, there's a meta description, or the title tag. I call it the meta title because it's a meta tag. You don't see it. Typically, if you are writing a title tag and a meta description that basically matches the content of your page, not identical word for word, but the theme is the same, Google will almost always use your title and your meta description exactly as written in the search result. So what that means is now you have an opportunity to create ad copy. Something, in a sense, it's ad copy. It's basically you can compel somebody to click on that because of what you wrote in your title tag and your meta description. So SEO doesn't mean anything if you're just getting rankings and no one's coming to your site. The whole goal of it is to get people to your website. So if you can craft that and get a click-through rate, that's another way to do that and get more clicks from that exposure. So, all right. I'm going to pass this off to Chrissy. If anybody has questions, I will be hanging around afterwards.
So I'm really excited you guys are here, and I'm going over the search engine marketing portion. And what we're going to be looking at is why search engine marketing. I'm sure most of you are business owners. You've tried various different types of advertising, and some works and some doesn't. Well, we want to talk about why search is so important for your type of business. 85% of all traffic on the internet is referred from a search engine. So people are going to Google, Yahoo, major search engines, and they're typing in keywords. A lot of people don't even use the URL bar anymore. They're just going to Google and typing in keywords. So 85% is a huge number. So that's a lot of traffic that you could get in front of, and I think it's a lot easier than most people think. It's the World Wide Web. You think, how am I going to get up there? Well, it's very possible. So we're going to walk through that here in just a minute. Most websites are not indexed properly. They're poorly optimized, and this is what Paul's talking about, how you get optimized. If you've had a website for over 2, 5, 10 years, then most likely your internet host, your web host, didn't build it the right way where search engines recognize it. So you need to optimize it. And with search engine marketing, this is a really easy way. Oh, here we go again. Hold on. Sorry, guys. We're internet people, but doesn't mean we're good at computers. So here we go. So if you have that website, a lot of times Google does not recognize it if it is not optimized properly. With search engine marketing, you can overcome that obstacle and still get to the top of these search engines, even if you're having trouble optimizing your website. We'll talk about how the two work beautifully together in just a moment. This is cost-effective advertising. Again, this is a World Wide Web. You think there's hundreds and thousands of results out there, search results. How am I going to get exposure with my budget? Again, I think you'll be pretty surprised with a little bit of budget, the visibility you can get at the top of search engines. SEM has the ability to target markets, so you can kind of pick and choose geographically who you want to drive to your website. So even though internet's big, it's still very targeted. Clear accountability and measurable ROI. So with any type of advertising, it's kind of hard to see, track it and see where people are coming from. I mean, do you know how many people found you from your radio ad? How many people saw your commercial? How many people are walking through your door? It's really hard to track. So with search engine marketing and optimization, you are able to track this web traffic. You know how many people are going to your site through search, how many people are filling out a form, getting that conversion, and sometimes even picking up the phone and calling or walking through the door. So very trackable. And it operates under this assumption. More relevant traffic, keyword there, can get a good conversion rate, meaning people clicking through, filling out that form, walking through your door, and then that eventually is going to lead to more sales. That's our goal. Some water real quick. I'm fighting East Tennessee allergies. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay, so search engine marketing. I'm going to go back through where this appears, where it displays on a search engine. This is search engine marketing. So anything below this was what Paul was talking about, organic, has nothing to do one with the other. So search engine marketing is displayed in the sponsored listings at the top or over to the right. Now the difference between this guy here at the bottom and this guy at number 1 is the information within the website. So Google wants to put the best result at the very top because it makes Google look good. This is why Google has 65% of the market share, because they're delivering the right information to the consumer. So all these guys here are fighting to get to the top. Google looks through all of them. Whoever has the most relevant information, they're going to get that spot. It goes back to what Paul was talking about. Is your website relevant? Is it getting the right information to the consumers, exactly what they're looking for? Questions? Marty, you look like you have a question. No? You good? Okay, that's normal. Gotcha. This is a cost per click type of advertising, search engine marketing. So you only get charged when people are clicking on your ad. That's the beauty of it. You can appear at the top of Google in these sponsored listings 180,000 times a month, and that's pretty normal for a decent budget. And that's no charge to you. That's called an impression. Impressions are free. Great visibility, great name recognition, great branding. Way to get your name out there. Only get charged when you're clicked on. 40% of the click activity is in the sponsored listings. So the organic gets about the 60. And a lot of people say, well, I don't usually click in the sponsored listings. Well, honestly, I don't really either. I'm a researcher, and most of that comes from the organic. But all you need to know with search is the people that are clicking on your paid ads, that's the only ones you're paying for. And they're going to have that true interest if they're clicking. And this is typically a buyer. So what we're seeing is they've done their research organically, they've compared prices, they know what they want, and now that ad is displayed at the very top. It's customized to what they're looking for, so they have no reason to click anywhere else. They're most likely to click through and make that purchase at that time. So more of a return, typically a buyer with the search engine marketing. Marty?
I do have a question now. That pontoon boats for sale, was that a pay-per-click? It says sponsored links, but you're saying that because of his in order to drive people to his site, did he get up there by accident, or did he pay for it?
He's paid. Mm-hmm.
So if he hadn't have paid for it, would it have really mattered what his keywords were?
Well, it would have organically.
Okay.
So if he was doing some search engine optimization and that keyword was typed in,
Right.
then he quite possibly could appear right here.
Oh, in addition to at the top?
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Then he'd have double visibility, which would be great. So now that we know where search is displayed, we're going to jump into how it works. And this might be a little bit elementary for you guys. You might have really came to focus on the optimization, but I'd rather keep it super simple than getting confusing. So we're going to start with keyword. Everybody know what a keyword is? Yes. Okay. So keyword is what is typed into Google here. It can be just a keyword, a key phrase, pontoon boats for sale, multiple keywords, or pontoon boat for sale Knoxville, where it is specified where they're looking for these pontoon boats. So keywords are the main component of search engine marketing, more so than search engine optimization. And how the right search engine marketing firm works is they'll go within your website and look at all your content and all your keywords, and they will build a master keyword list of keywords related to your business. So that way it is relevant to what the consumer is looking for. How frustrating is it when you type something into Google and you click into it thinking you're going to find what you're looking for, and you end up somewhere it's not what you want? It's so frustrating. We're a society with like fast results. We want what we're looking for right away. So keywords have to be relevant. And just like, again, Paul was talking about, keywords need to be tested constantly. So what we do is if we're watching someone type in a keyword, consumers are typing it over and over for your type of business. They're going into your website, but they're popping right back out right away. That's not a good keyword. So that keyword is removed, and it's replaced with keywords that are getting a more longer or shorter bounce rate. And that's what you want. So keywords constantly need to be tested and optimized. Any questions so far?
Who monitors that on a daily basis, a weekly basis?
It depends on your search engine marketing firm or search engine optimization firm.
Like your firm?
Us personally,
yeah.
Depends on when you're first launched. It's done on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. And then we have alerts to let us know when things need to be optimized more often than others. So, but every search engine marketing company is different. Some will launch it and never look at it again. So be careful about that. Just throwing that one in there. And there's a keyword. Forgot about that. Okay, relevant ad copy. This is your ad copy. This is a little piece of content that entices the consumer to click and go into your website. The beauty of ad copy is you can have multiple ad copies. So you're able to focus on multiple products and services, all with one search engine marketing campaign. So if you look right here, we have pontoon boats. Pontoon boats right here, sale, pontoon boats is highlighted. I do have a pointer, I think. There we go. They're highlighted both times. So automatically it grabs the attention of the consumer, the searcher. They have no reason to look anywhere else. So if you typed in pontoon boat photos, then in this ad copy, you want to make it clear that when they click through here, they're going to go to the pontoon boat gallery. So with the ad copy, you're able to really customize the search for the consumer. Again, people like to see what they're looking for right away. And if that's done the right way, then you can really get the people you want to your website. So multiple ad copies. Now we're going to look at the third portion of search engine marketing, which is the relevant landing pages. And this is a splash page, website, whatever it's landing in after the click. So keywords typed in, we've got the ad copy that is customized per keyword. They click on it, we're going to take them into the landing page, into the website where it has the pontoon boat inventory. So if we took them to the finance page, then they're most likely going to pop back out. They're not looking at buying yet, they want to look at the beautiful inventory. So it's so important. Research shows you have 7 seconds to entice someone to stay within your website and to have them engaged before they pop back out. So Extremely important, they land on what they're looking for, and with search, you have the ability to do this. Again, going back to that customization. Relevant geo-targeting, and this is what I was talking about before. There's so much search activity out there. I mean, 4 billion searches globally a day. So how are you able to really make yourself known? How are you able to target the people you want? Well, with search engine marketing, geographically, you get to pick and choose who you want to drive to your website from a certain geographical area. And these are all the different ways you can do this. So, for example, most of you probably have a business in the Knoxville DMA. Would that be correct? Knoxville and the 21 surrounding counties. So you might choose the Knoxville DMA as your geographical area, meaning people in that area, if they're typing in pontoon boats, your ad could possibly be driven to the top of Google and land in that sponsored link, that highlighted area. People outside that area, that's not going to work like that, because this is a cost per click type of advertising, so you want to make sure you're getting the people that have that true interest to buy your product or service going to your website. Now, the great thing about this is, with search, it's geo-modified. So that means if someone's in California and they type in pontoon boats, Knoxville, Tennessee, you still have a chance to be driven to the top and appear to that consumer because they specified Knoxville. Maybe they're moving here. So you can still reach people all over the world, but still it's very targeted for where you're at and people looking for what you have to offer. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. So again, you think it's the internet. There's so much out there, but you're still able to pick and choose who you want and get that exposure with search. Okay. So what can you expect? We kind of went through how search works and what it is. What do you do now? So visibility, how much visibility can you expect? Well, this is going to differ definitely. Do remember that this is a cost per click type of advertising, and there is 4 billion searches globally a day. So every time a relevant keyword for your business is typed in, you are not going to be driven to the very top of Google and win over that click. Because think about it, cost per click, clicked on every time, times 4 billion, you're going to owe a whole lot of money. Does that make sense? So how it works is, once we figure out your budget, then you're able to appear at the very top of Google as your budget allows to get that visibility. Pretty much super simple. The higher your budget, the more visibility you're going to get on Google, the more clicks you're going to receive. We'll kind of break into budgeting a little bit more in a minute. Maturity phase. With any search engine marketing company, you go through a maturity phase, because it takes time to build credibility with your website and the search engines. You have to let them know who you are. And this kind of goes back to changing up your keywords and your ad copy and figuring out what's working and what's not working to really establish a strong campaign. So if you have anyone who says, okay, we're going to start your campaign in 2 weeks and go live, and we're not going to touch it again because things are perfect, then run, because that's not how it works. With any search engine marketing company, it takes a full 90 days. Just to put those expectations out there for search, you need to know that. Return on investment. Is your website prepared to make the sale? So with search, its job is to drive qualified traffic to your website, people that are interested in what you have to offer. Once they are driven there, it's your website's job to make the sale. So get that traffic all day long, but if you're not seeing a return, then it's time to look at your website. Look at your search engine marketing firm, make sure everything's going good there, and then look at your website and say, okay, is this laid out? Is this laid out right? Are people finding what they're looking for? Is it user-friendly? And at the end of this, we're actually going to give you 5 tips, super simple things you can do your website to really make it more user-friendly and help you out. Tracking. Ask your customers if they visited your website. So I'm not really talking about the analytics with this. I'm talking about more so drilling down on where people are finding you from. One thing, because search, any type of advertising is kind of hard to track. But with search, I'd highly recommend asking people how they heard about you. Did they find your website, or have they been to your website? One thing that we did learn is one of our clients, he has a dealership and spending a pretty decent amount of money with us. And he was getting a lot of traffic to his website. And he said, well, Chrissy, I'm not getting a lot of phone calls, and there's not a lot of forms being filled out, inquiries sent to me, what's going on? And I said, well, how's business? And he said, well, floor business, people walking in the door, It's really good, and it's increasing. He said, but my internet business isn't doing too well. And I said, well, kind of drill it down and ask them some questions. So they had their team start asking the right questions. And when people came in, they said, well, how'd you hear about us? And they said, well, your internet ad. I mean, I'm sorry, your radio ad. You're everywhere. You're all over the radio. And they said, oh, okay, well, have you ever been to our website? Well, yeah, absolutely. That's actually how I found you first. And I found the car I wanted, and now I'm here to buy it. So what they figured out is 80% of their traffic, their internet traffic, are people just walking in the door and never saying a thing. So if you want to see a true return on investment and really kind of track your internet marketing a little bit better, ask the right questions. It'll make a big difference. Okay, and this is a case study. And this is our only little spiff we're going to throw in for K&S. But this is a case study we did for one of our clients who spent a decent amount of money with us, with themselves. So they did their own AdWords. You can do your own Google AdWords. I'm sure most of you know that. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and you really have to know what you're talking about. So one of our clients started doing his own AdWords, spending about $4,500 per month. Clicks got about 1,500. And this client's actually pretty savvy. He's an e-commerce director, takes care of all the internet stuff. So pretty impressive, knows what he's doing. So when he first started his AdWords, he had about 2,000 keywords. That's a lot of keywords for his type of business. So he pretty much took every single keyword related to his business and used it to drive his website to the very top. It's a lot of keywords. His cost per click was $3.12. So that kind of shows us the keywords weren't very qualified. He just wanted a lot of them. And the credibility wasn't being built right, so cost per click was a little higher. So November came along and he got smart. He said, I need help with this. So we came on and said, first of all, you don't need a budget that big for your type of business. Take it down by about half, which is what he did. Automatically, his clicks went up. One of the reasons that worked that way is because we used 620 keywords because we tested them and we initially knew in the beginning what keywords were going to work the best because we put it through testing programs of which ones were going to be the most qualified. So keywords, 70% less. We got his cost per click down to $1.71. So much lower. Allows you to get more clicks for your budget when your cost per click is lower. So overall, you can see at the end, his cost per click, his clicks were a little bit lower. Budget was about $3,000 less, but the clicks are extremely qualified, and he's seeing more of a return on investment when he did it for 2 months. So $3,000 a month savings. So there's people that can do this on their own. You could do it on your own, absolutely. There's firms that can do it for you. But just know there is a right way and a wrong way to do search. If you do it the right way, you can save money and get the right people to your website. Make sense? It's pretty cool. It's a huge number. Save. Okay. How do you budget for SEM? Okay. So when you're trying to figure out what you want to spend for your monthly budget on search engine marketing, you definitely don't want to just you don't want to just throw money out there and see if it works or not. There's a couple of reasons this works. Competitive industry, every industry will require a different budget to be competitive. So this has a lot to do with your cost per click. Attorneys, their cost per click is a lot higher. It can range from $5 to $7 and up. It can be very expensive. So they need to have a bigger budget to be competitive in order to have visibility enough to get a return. Search demand. Every industry has a different level of search activity from consumers. So if you owe a business where you fly an airplane and you write love letters in the sky, there's not a lot of people that are going to look for that at all. Your budget does not need to be that big. So that's a major factor when you're choosing your budget. Geo-targeting. The larger the targeted area, the larger your budget needs to be. So if you were wanting to do a nationwide campaign, you want to go all over the U.S., Marty, you do custom mattress needs all over, so you want a big campaign. Well, the bigger your geo-targeted area, the larger your budget needs to be because there's going to be a lot more search demand, a lot more people looking for you. If you're just doing the Knoxville DMA, remember it's still geo-modified, so people can still find you, but you're still keeping a lot of that quality because you're just choosing the areas in this area that people are looking for you. So what I would do is when you're figuring out your budget, your search engine marketing firm, reps, whoever you're talking to, should be able to answer these 3 questions and give you a logical recommendation instead of just throwing out a number. So be prepared for that. Okay, so that's search engine marketing. Do we have any questions before we go into the 2 for search?
You showed the 2 different sections, the top and then the sidebar. What differentiates how you get at the top versus the side?
Yes, good question. We kind of barely touched on that, but if you have that #1 spot at the very top, the highlighted area, is that what you mean? And then over to the right?
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with relevancy, so the information within your website. So this is a cost per click type of advertising. It's a bidding war. Google's going to look at all of them that are up for that keyword, and whoever has the most relevant information within the website, they're most likely to have that #1 spot.
So that is kind of the combination of your relevant keywords and pay per click or cost per click together.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go back and look at the 2 faces. What I talked about was the pay per click. This is most visible when you do appear for search engine marketing. It's most likely to be at the very top or over to the right on the first page. So great visibility, highlighted, customized, exactly what people are looking for. Immediate results. So as soon as your search engine marketing pulls the trigger to go live, you can automatically see yourself up there. And customized campaigns. Keywords are customized, ad copy is customized, landing pages are customized. So this is very relevant to what the consumer is looking for. Again, we're a society, we want what we're looking for. This is a great opportunity to catch that consumer at the active stage. Okay, so then we have organic, what Paul was talking about. Rankings are earned. This is probably why a lot of you guys are here. It's a lot of work. Like Renee said, it's very, very noisy. You have to earn those rankings. You're working with inbound links and meta tags and building that credibility with the search engines to eventually increase that ranking and come to the top. So it takes time. Once you get up there, you usually have a long-term result. You're going to be up there for a while, and that's the big prize. So both work very, very well together. You'll have double visibility, and we'll talk about what SEM is doing for your SEO here in just a second. Okay, the buying cycle. This is another piece on why the 2 work so well together. So we're going to go through the buying cycle of a consumer. Say you're on the internet and you discover you want to go on vacation. So you start researching. This is usually done in the organic listings, the research. So you start to research, okay, well, where do I want to go on vacation? In East Tennessee. So you're looking at a lot of different places to go. You decide you want to go to Gatlinburg. It's East Tennessee, that's where everybody goes. So you start comparing prices, cabins. A lot of that can be done through either your organic or your search engine marketing. Especially at the very top, hotels are great with search engine marketing. So that will pick up both of them, SEO and SEM. And then you're most likely, when you make that purchase, going to click in the sponsored listings, the search engine marketing. Because they compare prices, they know what they want, and if it's very customized per what they're looking for, they're most likely to click. So for the buying cycle, the 2 work very, very well together. You can capture the consumer at all stages of that buying cycle. Okay, so one more piece on the benefits of SEO and SEM. A stronger web presence. So SEM works while you're building your SEO. So just like we talked, SEO, search engine optimization, organic, it takes that time. You have to build that credibility, and you have to earn those rankings and come to the top. So while you're doing that, you launch your search engine marketing, you're up right away. It's going to take time also. You're going through maturity phase, but you can see your ad at the very top of Google right away, and you can get results right away. So as your SEO builds, they really work well together. Metrics are used to understand the consumer's behavior. So what this shows us is, with search engine optimization, usually pick a handful of keywords that you want to increase your ranking with, and then all the work goes towards that. With search engine marketing, so much work goes into the AdWords or the keywords and figuring out what's working the best for that business. So if we could take the keywords that are the most successful and went through exclusive testing and then implement that into the search engine optimization, use those metrics with each other, then you can really work on that double visibility. Market penetration, capture the consumer at all stages. We just went over that. And then building credibility. Research shows that the top 10 listings are the industry leaders. And I think this is so important. Think about it when you see that same business everywhere. Every time you make a search, you see it. Or just advertising in general. I mean, we all know that a couple of attorneys in Knoxville, their faces are everywhere. Every billboard, every commercial, on the radio, on the internet, in the newspaper. You see them everywhere. I'm not going to say any names. But I don't know much about them. I don't know how good they are. Are they good? Probably. But I do know that if I got in a car accident, then I'm going to call them because they have enough respect for their business to put their face everywhere. So think about that. Even if you're a smaller business and you're trying to get out there, and a lot of people don't know your name, you can use a little bit of money to get great visibility, get that double visibility, and really win over that prestige just by having a little bit of power of the internet. Make sense? Pretty cool? Okay. So what can I take away today? So we're kind of wrapping up here, and we're going to have questions in a minute. But I know I go to a lot of these seminars, and you really want to get something out of it. And I don't want you to walk away and say, well, what the heck do I do now? So I'm going to give you a couple pieces. You can sign up for a consultation with KNS today. So that's our gift to you, along with your coffee mug. So there's actually pieces of paper in the middle if you do want to sign up for like a free consultation. We'll come out and kind of break it down to your business and make it more personalized and figure out what we can do, work with a budget to really get you where you need to be. Dig into the contents and benefits of your website. So I'd highly recommend that most of you have a website, look into it, figure out what you like and what you don't like, take the information that we've given you today. We're giving you 5 tips that your website needs to be successful. A couple of things like know that if you put your contact information in the top right-hand corner, you're most likely to get a return, get more traffic, because that's where most people look. So there's little tips like that that can build credibility with search engines and go a lot longer. And if you can work with your web host, it's usually pretty cost-effective. Research your business. Where do you appear on Google? So hopefully you guys know when you type in a relevant keyword, you know where you are organically. Are you doing search engine marketing? It's very important to know. Some of you might not know, and you'll start clicking and clicking and realize you're on the 80th page and say, oh, crap, I'm calling Chrissy. That's what I want you to do. So definitely figure out where you're at. You need to know that. Put Google Analytics on your website for free, and this is the link. I'm sure the majority of you have this, know about this. If you do not, this is a tracking and reporting system that is free, designed by Google. They'll give you a code that you can work with your website, your web host to install that. And this gives you all the information you need on your web traffic. And this can be your paid, your organic, how many people are just typing in your URL. It can have nothing to do with advertising that you're paying for, but just to see the traffic that's going on. When people leave your website, what page do they leave in the most? Maybe you need to work on that page. Which page is the most consistent? How many forms are being filled out? So just a little piece there for you. Every single website needs to have that on there. Review the top 15 questions to ask your SEO or SEM provider. So we're going to give you a packet with all this information when you're leaving. Just stop by that table with Jenny. But with this, you're definitely here to learn more information. You might be doing search on your own, looking at other vendors. But there's several questions in here that you probably learned all the answers to today, but you need to make sure your SEO or SEM firm can answer those efficiently, logically, and have the right answers in order for this to work for you. So having said that, you got a free mug. Everyone grab one off your table. Those are for you. And that's all we have for you today, but I know I learned the best by asking questions. So we definitely want to open up this panel and let you guys just shoot away. Or if you feel more comfortable, stick around afterwards. We'll meet with you, answer any questions. Go.